I would like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by the Dolphin Wars.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin TV, episode 178. Wow, we're getting closer to 200. Can't believe it. I am Raymond, author of the Dolphin Wars book trilogy and ruler of the best pod on YouTube. Tonight, for Wave Making Wednesday, we have another special interview. I have here Jessica Cook of Margaret's Saving Grace Bully Rescue. She is joining us to talk about PITBULLs. Before we get going, as always, if you like what we're doing here, if you love these interviews and love the fun that we are having here, please like, subscribe, and comment. I do respond to every comment. Also, if anybody knows anyone I should interview, please send me their names or route them this way so I can reach out to them. I'm sure my wrenchers would be happy to put my contact information out there so that people can reach out to me. Give me a second here, because we got a newcomer here. I want to make sure that she is properly welcomed. So please bear with me. Oh, couple somebodies. Yes, I recognize everybody, so that's why we got the delay. Yep, we're going to be talking about doggies tonight. I even have Snoopy pictures. So, recent as of taken tonight. Okay. All right. Okay, so before we give our big King Dolphin TV welcome to Jessica, let me welcome our amazing chat. We have tonight, we have Brad Cook. We have here Channing, and I'm going to massacre this name, Channing Silcott. We have Krista Bartlett as our chat guests, and my amazing wrench team. We have my producer and other half, best lady on the planet, but I'm biased, Sandra, my producer. Love you, baby. We've got okay. Hello, Cobalt Bald Eagle. How are you, sir? And where Cobalt is, Pudgy can't be far behind. We've got Dalek 451. Exterminate. Hello, Dalek. We have John Rendell. How are you, sir? We've got Legatus Legionii, the first one, the last out. The amazing Legatus Legionii. And of course, we've got the hardest working bear on the internet. the polarest bear of all. We've got Sport Bus. Cooper. Let's talk doggies. So, okay. Welcome to the chat. And welcome to you, Jessica. I hope you are doing well.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on King Dolphin TV. We enjoy, we brought, we talk about creators and people who do interesting things. And one of my favorite subjects is to talk about animal rescues. We've had a bunny rescue, we've had ferret rescues, and now time for pit bulls. Because pit bulls are the bestest doggies.
They are. They are.
So, how this works is we've talked about this before. I've got questions that I will ask as sort of so that the chat gets to know you. And then I will open it up to this amazing chat. They're going to have fantastic questions. A little bit impatient, so please, chat, please wait until I've gotten done with the questions, and then you can ask your hard-hitting questions. So let us get started. All right. So, can you tell us about what you did before you started rescuing?
Actually, I still do a lot of what I did before. It's just not in the same capacity that I once did. So I started rescue actually through the process of becoming one of the top producing real estate teams along with my husband. We are still in real estate and we've added property management to that. I'll be honest with everyone, and I like to share this story. I was one of the people that believed in the pit bull stigma. I did not grow up with pit bulls. I grew up with German shepherds and hounds. My dad rescued the retired canines, and one or two of those dogs were in our home growing up. So I did grow up around a lot of animals. We didn't have a huge working farm, but we had a small family farm. And yeah, so real estate was it, and real estate it still is. We just don't do it as often as I only work now with people that I know. Given the nature of the work we do, I'm not as willing to jump in my car and run out to those Zillow leads like I used to. So my dashboard of people is people that Brad and myself know.
Okay. What made you decide to do a rescue? I gather from. Go ahead.
Well, I didn't want to do a rescue. I wanted to help a rescue. So I was actually very much involved, just like a lot of my followers and volunteers, which has actually proven to be a great thing for this rescue. I was very much involved with another rescue. Lots of my commission went there. My husband and I transported dogs for this rescue, and we were very involved, a lot like our volunteers, but we started noticing things. Towards the end, dogs were coming off of transport and being immediately adopted out without vet visits, puppies, and this was concerning. We said something to the founder, who actually, I was not close to the founder. I was actually close to her assistant. She was local, and that's who I worked with most. And so that rescue actually ended getting taken down by the authorities just before COVID. We had already left at that point, and through the advice of an attorney at the time, who was our real estate and personal attorney, we started our own rescue.
Okay. All right. Now, I know the question I had in mind, and I'm sure others would. Who's Margaret?
Oh, Margaret. Margaret's my soul dog. So in our logo, Margaret is the dog right smack in the middle. Margaret would come to us 7 years ago. I was actually looking for a dog. Our Staffy had just passed away. So remember, I had pit bull stigma. My parents happily dropped a pit bull puppy to my husband and my garage for our daughter's 15th birthday. I was livid. I was so angry. I pull in. My husband and I at the time were UPS drivers. Both of us were. And here's this dog chained to our garage. I was not happy. We didn't know where this dog came from, who brought the dog. I knew my daughter had wanted a pit bull. That dog would actually be the dog that paved our love for pit bulls. I do get emotional when I talk about the dogs in this rescue. So if I tear up, that's completely normal for me. It's my passion. That's what you hear coming out because, again, for the people who have struggled with pit bulls, I understand. However, what I also understand now more than I ever did before, that's my girl. Margaret's right there in the middle. Pit bulls are great dogs. And if you spend time with them, because that's what they really want, they will be everything that you put into them. So Margaret came into our lives 7 years ago. I was actually looking for a dog for my husband. His birthday was coming up. We had lost our beloved Staffy. That was my daughter's dog that you heard me speak of.
Mm-hmm.
He passed away from spleen cancer.
Mm.
And he was young. He was only 8 years old. And so I went in search. Our home was empty. We had a little teacup Yorkie. That is not the same as a pit bull. If you love your pit bulls, like a Yorkie is a far stretch in the other direction. I went looking one night and, I have all the stories. I have all the things. So the things that I always post about on Facebook, I've either been through them, I've avoided them, but they somehow always will tie in to a personal thing that I've experienced. So I found Mordecai, Margaret's brother. And if you ever see me talk about sibling aggression, actually the two of them are why. So we adopted Mordecai. Well, I surprised Brad. And I went to, it was a backyard breeder. So again, we have all the stories. I didn't know. Again, this was 7 years ago. Our rescue is only 4.5 years old. I went to a backyard breeder. It was horrific. It was disgusting. And I picked out Mordecai. I paid my deposit for a puppy with no papers that was going to cost us $800. Naively thought this backyard breeder was like rescues and other people I had followed on Facebook and would want to know how their puppy was doing. So fast forward a couple weeks and we go back and there's Margaret and my husband actually falls in love with her. So ironically, my husband looks down and says, "How much will you charge us if we take a second dog?" Because we were those people. We thought, oh, you want two so they have someone to play with. Well, so out we go. We take Margaret and Mordecai home. It was all good until it wasn't. And they actually ended up being separated for about 3 years in our home. And we just recently put the two of them back together and they are actually doing well together now. But sibling aggression is something that we actually educate on our page about pretty often.
Okay. So you've had your rescue about 4 years.
Yes, May 1st, 2019.
Okay. How did you start your rescue? I mean, was there a specific process that you had to do?
Oh, yeah, there's lots of money, because you're paying for everything. Anyone who follows our page knows that my passion is to also help close down rogue or not honest rescues. So, of course, that's how our rescue got established, was coming from a rescue like that. There is no book. So here's the thing I would tell everyone. If you want to start a rescue, all you can do is all you can do until you know better, then you do better. The biggest thing to do, again, my husband and I came into rescue out of helping a bad rescue. So I'll be honest, everything we decided to do was really based on a platform of everything that we had watched this other rescue do and decided that is not how animals should be rescued. So that's how we started.
Okay.
We already had a real estate business, so we were educated on creating the LLCs. Margaret's Grace is actually incorporated, and then we have LLC companies under MSGBR.
Okay. Do you have a storefront?
We do.
Oh,
So
good.
our storefront, we do. Our storefront is a retail storefront. It is not a thrift store. I know a lot of rescues have thrift stores, and we went a different avenue. I grew up with two entrepreneur parents, so both of my parents were business owners. My mom actually owned an antique store locally until she passed in 2020. The rescue store is located in Front Royal, Virginia, and our volunteers do work that rescue store, so it is all volunteer based. However, the retail store is actually a retail store, all things dogs and more. There's lots of stuff in there. The store also goes mobile to a lot of events and craft fairs. We hold adoption events there. We are open Thursday through Sunday from 10 to 4 as we have volunteers.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Now, how many do you currently have, or are you dealing with?
So my husband and I have 12 in our home at this time. We take a lot of the difficult dogs. So Diesel is a sanctuary dog. He came to us 4 years ago. He's the black and white dog you'll often see me post about. He is not nice to people, but he adores Brad and I. He came from a very abusive type of domestic violent home where he was the protector, and that is just what he knows. So he protects this property and Brad and I. He's a great dog, but he's not an adoptable dog. We have Storma Jean. She's a sanctuary dog. However, she has started to show us she loves people. That dog came from a rescue shutdown that we did in 2021. And we can talk about that later. And we have Boomer. Boomer's been with us for over 3 years. Again, Brad and I take the really tough ones. We do have some adoptable dogs. So you'll see Gypsy on our page. She's a deaf puppy that we've been working with. She came in with really bad mange. She's the white dog. That dog is with Brad and I. And then, of course, we have Petey, who's a hospice dog. He will be with us until he passes. 13 years old, changed his entire life, and he is in congestive heart failure, so he cannot be neutered. In the rescue, there are 55 dogs and puppies in foster homes. So we are a foster-based rescue. I do want a shelter. I am very open about that. I want a shelter where pit bulls are openly welcomed and they're cared for in the way that we have noticed they thrive better in. That's quieter atmospheres, more one-on-one with people. They are a very loving dog. And so our rescue is and will work towards a shelter one day that specifically concentrates on bully breed dogs.
Okay. Great. Let's see. Now, why pit bulls?
Well,
especially since you've got the stigma.
And that's funny because that was honestly the first question that my attorney asked me when we talked rescue, and she said, "What breed of dog?" And I said, "Well, of course it would be pit bulls." And she was horrified. I'm gonna be honest with you, because again, I understand. I know what's out there. These people come for us. They come for us all the time. I understand, and I understand what people have read in the news headlines. But what I also understand is we openly post our DNA results on our page, and we encourage that because what I want people to see is a lot of times a dog that's being deemed a pit bull in a shelter or a rescue or a backyard breeder doesn't have hardly any pit bull in it at all. And that would fall under your bull terriers, your American pit bull terriers, your Staffordshire terriers. A lot of these dogs, you look at them And yeah, there might be a small percentage of some type of bully breed in there, but then you have Shepherd and Lab. So I think for me, it irks me to see the stigma, the BSL. There's so much with these dogs, and it's so much negative stuff. And then my husband and I owned one, and we started helping another rescue with them. And I just would never look back. When you go into any shelter, any rescue, that's all you see is a pit bull mix of some kind. All the other dogs usually fly out of the shelters. However, right now, no dogs are flying out of the shelters because there's so many. Pit bulls, though, are where my heart is and where my heart will stay. I do understand they can be dangerous. I also understand that when you rescue responsibly, you have sometimes tough decisions to make with those dangerous dogs. So I will take this opportunity while we're talking about pit bulls to also share it is MSGBR's absolute passion to not only rescue pit bulls, and we will take our pit bulls through intense training. Boomer is a dog with Brad and I. That dog has bit 5 times. And I know a lot of people would log on to this and say, why would you save a dog like that? Well, I'll answer that because he was let down before that and no one neutered this dog. And guess what? When we did as a rescue, 30 to 60 days, his testosterone starts to leave his system. We've had a perfect dog since then. That was 3 years ago. He'll go off to training now. We'll work to get a trainer evaluation that hopefully has him as an adoptable dog. Where Boomer is a little different than, say, Pearl Pop, who was a recent behavioral euthanasia, is Boomer has already been a part of this household for 3 years. He will come back if he's an unadoptable dog, and Brad and I will care for him until the end of his days.
Oh, wow.
But we love pit bulls. We love pit bulls. And I do think there's a way to rescue them, own them, save them, love them responsibly. If a dog is biting every other animal, it's very people selective, it's kids selective, we have an obvious problem. And when those dogs are adopted out, it worries me. I think that's how we keep the stigma going.
Okay. Before I ask more questions, we have a bunch more people that have come on to the chat.
I see that.
We've got our amazing anti-derivative Jill. Hello, Jill. She's watching while making dinner. We've got, Clarissa. We've got Samantha Minicino. I probably massacred that name. So yeah, we're getting a lot of great people here. Please like and subscribe and comment and please interact in the chat. We're going to have a lot of fun tonight. So what advice can you share for someone thinking about getting a pit?
Do your research. The biggest thing that frustrates me, so let's talk about puppies when you're doing any type of adopting a dog. Often so I want to share the number one return in our rescue. You might think it's these big adult aggressive. No, it's puppies. It is puppies. We get the most complaints, concerns, people with, children, they'll have 3 children under the age of 7. I know a puppy seems like a good idea, but a puppy is a lot of work. Do your research. Do you really want a puppy and 3 kids under the age of 7? It's a lot. It's like adding a 4th toddler to your pack. From there, I would say, depending on where the dog's coming from. So the dog's coming from a shelter. That's a wild card. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, and I love shelter dogs. Over 90% of our dogs come from shelters. The problem that I see with the general public in shelters is a lot of times shelters do not know the history of these dogs. This dog will leave out with a family. I'm gonna tell people that maybe reach out to your local rescue and be like, hey, I'd like to adopt this dog, but I'd really like to make sure he's a good fit. If the shelter won't do a foster to adopt, possibly reach out to your favorite rescue and ask if they will. In my personal opinion, and again, it's just a personal opinion, foster to adopt is always the way to go unless you are getting a puppy. A puppy is the obvious. I mean, you have a dog with no trauma. Maybe there's some bad backyard breeding genetics there. I mean, those are not anything that you can really work with, but that is what it is. We had some of that with our own dogs that we bought from backyard breeders. The biggest thing is research and foster. Fostering is an amazing way to make sure that that dog should be a part of your family. And from there, puppies are great. Just make sure your kids understand puppies and you teach your kids as much as you're teaching the dog how to interact with each other.
Okay. Okay. Now, since we've got folks from all over, is there one central location where they can locate a particular rescue, one nearby them?
Facebook. Facebook is an amazing platform for that, because here's the thing. Most all rescues are on Facebook. That's how we network a lot of our dogs, and that's where we see a lot of the dogs that we pull in. So if you're looking for a lab rescue or a German Shepherd rescue, just type that in and it's going to start pulling up different rescues all around you. Talk to them. Just because you pulled them up and just because they're on Facebook, follow them for a while, see how they work. See if you see, freedom ride pictures where the dog's leaving the shelter, but then you also see updates on this dog in the foster home. That's so important to see as you look to adopt your next dog.
Okay. Okay. And how successful are you in rehoming pits or getting them adopted?
I'm actually really proud of the numbers that this rescue holds. Since 2019, our numbers actually just went up. We have rescued over 1,500 dogs. We have had less than 5 behavioral euthanasias in that time.
Wow. Nice.
And so for the pit bull haters that come for me, go ahead and play around with those numbers and see what it'll get you, because I am fierce about that. 97% of what we pull is from a kill shelter somewhere or an animal control. We don't know these dogs. Our fosters, we only know the little bit of information the shelter has shared with us. Our fosters will take these dogs in and work with them. If they're listening to our decompression, they're giving that dog time to just kind of settle down and, realize it's safe. A lot of times those moves are scary for a dog, but we couldn't do what we do without our fosters. Our fosters honestly prepare every single dog in this rescue for their next chapter. We do not board our dogs. If we board a dog, it is simply because we don't have foster placement for that dog. Oftentimes you'll see that happen in a return. So we recently had a return from a foster home. That foster had to have surgery. That dog's in boarding. We don't like that. To me, boarding for a dog is very much just like a shelter. They see pretty much boarding. We love our boarding facility, though. They are family owned. And so there's a lot of time spent with the dogs. But depending on the boarding facility you use, that can look a little different. I don't know. We'll take a dog all the way to the point of where it receives an unadoptable training card. So a lot of our dogs end up going through some type of training. We do have a local trainer that we work with a lot, Holly, with Best Version Dog Training. She actually goes into the home, and we like that because that allows the owner as well as the dog to learn some things about this breed and really working with your dog.
Okay. Okay. What's the age range? It sounds like it's a wide age range of the dogs that you adopt.
It is. So puppies, they are not allowed to leave rescue until they're at least 8 weeks old. And then, we rescue a lot of senior dogs, a lot. I do not think senior dogs belong in the shelter. It breaks my heart. So if I see a senior dog, even if our intake is closed, I'm sharing that senior dog in hopes that another rescue will pull that dog. But yeah, 8 weeks to seniors.
Okay. Now, how? I'm going to save this question for later. Um, okay. I'm going to save this question for later as well. What do you find the most rewarding and what the most discouraging?
So, of my entire list of questions that you sent me, this was actually the longest one. The most rewarding is seeing dogs' faces with no hope and no future show back up after landing a foster or adopter across our screens with the happiest stories. A lot of times we pull these dogs and they're shut down. They're scared. A lot of them have been abused or neglected. We currently have dogs in rescue that still have buckshot in them, bullet fragments. If you pull our dog George, he has an uncountable amount of shotgun spray in the top of his head. He's one of the sweetest dogs you will ever meet. Sweetest dogs. Gracie, another dog, she has a shotgun and bullet fragment in different places. That the rewarding side of that is these dogs, if you've followed our page for any amount of time, these dogs sometimes come in really horrific condition, and watching what our fosters do with these dogs is amazing. It is really amazing. We have a solid support of fosters. I'm going to be honest, our support system at MSGBR is pretty solid. We love our followers. We adore our fosters. Without our fosters, we couldn't save these dogs. And so the most rewarding thing for rescue for me is most definitely watching these dogs go on to a better life.
Okay. Yeah. I like the bumper sticker that says "Who rescued who."
Exactly. That is, and I'll say the most discouraging, because that was a two-part question, is honestly the lack of laws that protect these dogs. It blows my mind that we protect living things with such limited legislation. When you dive into animal welfare world and you start to work with animal control officers, what you will start to understand is, and so many people, I have a case right now posted on my page in Oklahoma. And people are biting the bit. They want resolution. They want this person charged, but it's a process. It's a legal process. And even though these animal control officers and law enforcement look at these dogs, I'm not siding with them. There's no side to take here. The laws simply don't support them in doing a lot of times any more than what they are doing. And then when you dive into that, there's so many loopholes that if they're not careful, they can lose their job. And so, I get it. We're out here screaming, protect these animals, but we need better laws to protect these animals.
True. I think you've answered this one question. What would you like other people to know about the rescue and rescues in general? And again, we're going to have you on another time to talk about the serious bit of rescue. So, with a panel of rescue owners.
I think what I would like to say here, though, is I would like to remind people that rescues are typically operating off the public support. So let me the public support. Make sure you want to support that rescue, but also understand that without your support, that rescue is going to dry up. So make sure your funding is going to a reputable rescue. We are not state funded in any way. That is not a thing. We are not like shelters. We do not get grouped into a county's budget to take care of our dogs. We take care of our dogs with public funding, donations, and our own money. So that's the biggest thing I would like people to know about rescues. There's a huge misconception there that we operate like shelters, and that's not the case.
Okay. Okay. Do you register with like Chewy, Amazon Smile, or any other donation websites?
Mm-hmm. We do. So we have Chewy, we have Amazon Smile. We also are on the Cuddly platform, which is another great fundraiser that's worldwide. And then, of course, we have our donation platforms on social media and our website.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I was going to ask, how can people support your rescue? If you want to put one of the ways, one of your links in the private chat, I'll post it.
Okay. Yeah. What I can do is I can actually I can go in there now if you'd like, and I can send you the link for our Chewy and our
just do it. Just do it in the private chat. And meanwhile, I will share the Facebook page to show you some of these wonderful doggies.
There's a lot, and we have so many great dogs in rescue right now. We really do. There's a lot of great dogs in rescue.
Yeah. Okay, give me a moment here. Okay, this is their Facebook site.
So that group is Mama and her 10 puppies. So actually a gal in North Carolina who is a FedEx driver, she found that mom. It's a pretty incredible story. She didn't have the puppies, and that mom took her back to the puppies. And so that whole family was rescued. And that FedEx driver and her wife also have a rescue. And so they held on to the puppies until we could get them up with us. And some of them have already started to adopt out, but they are the cutest litter of puppies, you guys. Super smart. And mom is the sweetest dog. So the puppies really have great temperaments.
Good. If you do it in private chat, then I'll be able to post. You can't post in Facebook.
So I actually sent it to you in the text message. Is that okay?
Hold on. I'm going to have to type it onto the post. Give me a second.
Oh, I thought it would let you copy and paste.
Sorry. Okay. Hold on a second. It's not that bad. You guys can enjoy the puppies while I'm doing this. Okay, there's one. There. Okay, I'll give it to my amazing. That's why I got a produce. That's why I got a producer. I gotta just send it. Hold on a second. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's one group of puppies. Let's see where there's other puppies. Oh, we got that's Snoopy. What are you doing with Snoopy?
Oh, that's Emmy. So Emmy, that video is my foster, and that video went viral. It was crazy. That's Emmy. She's been adopted. Every time our foster took her to the vet in Winchester, she got pulled over. I think they got pulled over 2 or 3 times.
Well, I got to show you. This reminds me to do a showing of our monster.
Oh, he does look like Emmy.
That is Snoopy. Hail to the Snoop.
Snoopy's really cute.
Yeah, and he doesn't like getting his picture taken, so it's like an adventure. There's one. There's a better one. It's an adventure getting his picture taken, and I just took these, so
Oh,
he's an Amstaff.
he's really cute. He does look a lot like Emmy.
Yeah, I saw that in Hail to Snoopy.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We're going to start opening up questions and comments to the chat. I know you've been waiting. So let's go back up. I know we got, oh my goodness. Wow. We got a lot of comments. All right. Let's see. Yes, Magata says, remember to ask as many questions. And does anyone know the bestest breed of dog ever? Yeah, it's the one you have.
That's right. That's
The
right.
one you have.
Because that's the best dog for you.
Yep. Okay, and this is Margaret's Bullies Rescue. Thank you, Legatus. Let's see. Everybody's saying, ooh, puppies.
Yes.
Okay.
We have lots of puppies in rescue right now.
Yeah. Legatus says, so Bully Rescue is about dogs and not the schoolyard.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep.
Absolutely.
Sorry to hear this, Tim. Pit bulls are banned from my city. And I know he's up in Canada, so.
Yep, we actually get messages from people in Canada about this. It's really sad. We have a local to us. Prince George's County in Maryland is a BSL county. It's sad.
Okay. Legatus asks, grow up with a lot of animals. Does growing up with a lot of siblings count as animals?
It does. It absolutely does.
Okay. Legatus asks, does Margaret help the other dogs to decompress while at their rescue?
So Margaret is a very dominant female dog. So she does. However, she very much mothers. I cannot bring any additional females into our pack. As you can imagine, with 12 pit bulls on this property, we do have baby gates and things up because, again, they're rescues. You know, no, they don't want to be friends with each other. I mean, some of them are, but you know, Margaret is amazing with puppies. That's what I will say. She's not a fan of puppies as far as cuddling with them. She has a few that she has gotten close to, but she's a great mom dog to puppies. And ironically, she's never been a mom. It's her dominance. Yep.
Yeah. Poor Snoopy. We think he was really abused when he was a puppy. When we were at the shelter, he looked at me, and then we went to the privacy area, and he just plopped on my lap, and I said, "Oh, this is ours. He's our boy." But because whatever happened to him, one, he wouldn't go into crates. He refused to go into crates. Even if we took a hot dog, tossed it in the crate, he would stop at the crate and reach in to get the hot dog.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he unfortunately also has aggression to other dogs, which leads me to believe that it leads us to believe that he was probably used as bait. And
he could have also have been under socialized. That's a big thing with this breed. People think that they are doing right by them and protecting them, but this breed actually needs a lot of socialization. And so for us, when we adopt a puppy out to you, we tell you take that dog to Lowe's, Home Depot, let it meet all the people. Once the dog has obviously gotten comfortable with you, that is where I messed up with Margaret. And Margaret hates kids. And so if you met Margaret, you would think that a kid did something to her. It's actually quite the contrary. She's never been around kids. And so kids to her are just these scary little dart-like creatures that move fast and talk really loud. She does not like kids.
Yeah, Snoopy used to love kids, but then as he got older, kids, he's kind of like very skittish toward kids.
Yeah. That's honestly, our house, all of our kids are grown. Well grown. My oldest is 32. So yeah, that's the other thing too. Our dogs, we don't have grandkids, so our dogs just aren't around kids. Not a lot anyway.
Yeah. Which is too bad. I got 2 granddaughters and I'm sure they would love to play with Snoopy. Clarissa, hello, Clarissa says, I love this rescue. They're fantastic at matching dogs up with owners, and they do a lot of training and work before they adopt them out.
So Clarissa is actually one of my favorite people. She is a small business owner. She is a pet nutritionist and creates a lot. So Clarissa is actually the business owner who created the supplements, the white deaf puppy that Brad and I have, Gypsy. Clarissa created the supplements that helped her skin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she used to have a storefront in Warrenton, and you can still look her up online. She is 4-leaf clover. She's a holistic pet small business owner. She's great. We love her.
Okay. Oh, okay. John Rendell says, Yorkie meets Pitbull from the makers of Bambi meets Godzilla. John. Yeah, if you've ever seen Bambi does Godzilla or meets Godzilla, you should go take a look at it on YouTube. Yeah. And of course she says, thank you for saving all the dogs. Legata says, Mordecai means seeker of truth and wisdom. Is this dog reflecting its name? Since it sure sounds Margaret, which means pearl, is a pearl gem to you. Oh, Legata, that was nice.
Look at this person. That's amazing. So first of all, I have to say that I didn't realize that Mordecai means seeker of truth and wisdom. However, if you were to meet him, he's a pretty stoic dog. He's a great dog. He's just a well-rounded dog, honestly. So Margaret's brother is also a great dog. But okay. Margaret's my girl. And she has a sister, Willow. Willow she's a rescue.
Tindy Enchanter says, my dog is a Jack Russell Min Pin Cross.
Is that dog crazy? I always ran from Jack Russell's as a UPS driver. Those dogs were so fast. And yes, that's our rescue retail store address.
Thank you, Legatus.
Yep.
And Clarissa says their storefront. Legatus is amazing. He's our researcher. Besides being the first in, last out. He is just amazing. Clarissa, their storefront is adorable. They have the cutest things. All the proceeds go right back to the dogs. Good.
And so our store will actually be getting added to our website when that's completed. So you will be able to purchase MSGBR merchandise and things then.
Okay. Great. And hello, Krista. Storma Jean has an amazing story. Her progress is phenomenal.
So Storma Jean, anybody can do a Facebook search on her. Storma Jean came from Love Shack. Love Shack was a 2021. So in 2021, a North Carolina networker called me. It was late one evening. And she asked me how far Hampshire County, West Virginia was from my house. And I think it was like an hour and 15 or an hour and a half. And she said, I need you to go over there right now. We think that a rescuer of pit bulls and hounds is hoarding them. Okay, now you have to go back to this time frame. In 2021, in April, we weren't even 2 years old. So we were still a pretty new rescue ourselves. I grabbed one of my volunteers, and at about dusk in the evening, in March, this was in March, I headed back to Hampshire County, West Virginia, to one of the most secluded areas I would ever go. And sure enough, we were met with over 100 dogs that were all housed in the most horrific ways. Over the next 3 weeks, we would work with law enforcement and local officials to clear off over 100 dogs off this property. And Stormy, and I do get emotional when I talk about her. Stormy was housed in the front of the property, right by one of the houses. This rescue property had 2 houses that no one lived in and 12 acres of land. And Stormy was housed at the first house. So there was a house at the bottom of the hill and a house at the top of the hill. Stormy was housed at that first house in an outside kennel. And she had a house. We didn't even know there was a dog in that space because the owner of this rescue would lock her in her house. Well, on the second day on site, I saw this little nose like up through this window, and I said, "Hey, Sabrina, is there a dog in that house?" And she said, "Yeah, that dog is super mean and nobody can put hands on her, and she's a real problem dog." And I said, "Let her out." Because again, when we first went on this property, we befriended her to get on the property. And I know some people are not going to think that was very nice of us, but when I say my passion is to rescue these dogs, that is my absolute passion. I put these dogs before everything because I'm their rescuer. If I don't, I don't have anything else other than that. That's what matters to me is the dog. So she lets the dog out, and she's a bull terrier mix, so she's not even very big. And again, you can Google her on our page and see her story in a lot of different platforms. Like what she looked like going into this rescue versus what she looked like coming out of that rescue, which was horrific. Her face was all beaten up. Part of her ear was missing. So we're doing the takedown of this rescue. Hampshire County law enforcement is in. And I said to them, do not send that dog back to Georgia. They had started sending some of the dogs back to their originating shelters. I said, do not send that dog back to Georgia. I will take her into our rescue and I'll sanctuary her. The next morning when we got on site, the dog was gone. Gwinnett County had come picked her up all the way from Georgia. Now, I do want to give that shelter a shout out because they're freaking amazing. I ended up driving down there 2 or 3 times to meet with them before they would release this dog into our rescue. And I respect that. I had to make an 11-hour one-way trip 2 or 3 times before one single dog could come back with me. And they interviewed multiple rescues to take her. This dog would come into our rescue. I instantly had a bond with Stormy. I had a bond with her actually on the takedown of this rescue on site. But she would come into, she hated Brad. Brad had 5 seconds to feed this dog and get out of her house, or she was his next meal. Like there was no, So as you guys go back through Facebook, there is actual jokes about this among our followers and our supporters. Like someone even took Stormy and turned her into a shark and put Brad as like this person in the bottom of the ocean she was going after. I mean, so what we did is Brad became Stormy's. Brad gave her everything of value: treats, food. I have fed that dog probably maybe 2 or 3 times. A dog that just 2 years ago we thought would never ever decompress to be friendly. We actually take that dog into the rescue store now, and she meets people. She's a totally turned around dog. I actually also recently made a post, and if there was a perfect home, Storma could actually go to a home of her own now. She really could.
Clarissa says, thank you for taking the tough ones. They deserve a second chance too. Because pit bulls are the best.
And they are.
Their reputation is so unfair. Let's see. Anything? Let's keep going. Krista says they love to be loved.
And they do. They do.
Pit bulls are so misunderstood. And hello, Samantha Minicino. I hope I said that right. Preach it. Bullies are big babies. Love them so much.
So Samantha has adopted Sherry, who was a dog we pulled out of Southern Virginia. My volunteer and I drove down there, and Sherry was going to actually be euthanized that day at 4:00, and I cried. I looked up at the animal control officer, and I was like, please do not euthanize this dog. Give me just a couple of days. I mean, my volunteer and I are both sitting there. She actually, Emmy. So Emmy that you saw in the cop car is the dog that we actually went down there to pick up. We met Sherry, and Samantha and her family adopted Sherry. And they've actually just added Colton, another hugely let down dog who was tied to a park bench in the Richmond area. She just added Colton as a foster to adopt to her home. So she actually has 2 MSGBR dogs.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Sandra says humans are more dangerous than most dogs.
We always say it's the person holding the leash that typically gives pit bulls the reputation that they have.
Humans fail them and they deserve a second chance. Agreed, Clarissa.
Yep.
Brad says Boom Boom is an awesome dog. Hi, Brad. Welcome.
So that's my amazing husband. And we are every bit as close as what everyone sees. On the off days that we're not. I mean, it's typical. I just want to throw him out the nearest window, but that doesn't happen very often. That man supports every one of my crazy dreams, and he helps take care of every single one of these dogs in this house. We do everything together.
All right. Hello, Nighthawk. Cobalt Bald Eagle says it's ironic, though, that to fix the male dog surgery was required. No ideas, lady. I'm staying high up in my tree. Let's see. Phantom Outsider says, hello, Chad. I thought this was the hedgehog polar bear rescue stream. No, it's the pit bull rescue stream. Let's see. Keep going. Start. Why are you climbing the oak tree? See what I got to put up with, Jessica. I see when you list descriptions on each dog. What exactly is heartworm treatment and exercise restrictions?
This person is asking great questions. That is okay. That is a great question. So, heartworm, let me first say that heartworm disease is completely preventable. Heartworm treatment is the result of someone not giving their dog a monthly heartworm preventative. And it is exactly as it says. Worms infest your dog's heart. Ultimately killing your dog is what happens. It makes them very uncomfortable. We see it come from a lot in the South. However, we are not safe here, guys. A lot of these rescues are bringing heartworm positive dogs up north, and they're not having them treated at all, or they're not having them treated within a time frame that makes sense. And so the way that the heartworm moves from one dog to another is, so I, as a rescue, bring a heartworm positive dog up, and irresponsibly, I house this dog outside where this dog can be bit by mosquitoes. It has now bit my heartworm positive dog, and it's going to go bite your dog, King Dolphin, and now your dog has been affected. That is literally how this all happens.
Through mosquito.
Correct. And through someone not being responsible with their pet and giving their pet, or we see it a lot with dogs that are chained outside or kept outside without the proper preventatives again. So here's what I would tell everyone, because I don't want to freak anyone out. Just continue to give your dogs a monthly heartworm preventative and get your dog's heartworm tested once a year at your vet. You'll be fine. Heartworm treatment is very painful. It is a 3 to 4 month long 3 injection process for these dogs that goes between vertebrae and injects them with ivermectin to start to kill the heartworms. And they are on exercise restrictions, which anyone who loves a pit bull knows how hard that can be. And when I mean exercise restrictions, we're talking crate restricted for 30 days. It's a process. It is a process.
Yeah. Let's see. And Krista says fosters are so important so we can get to know the dog to help with the best trait placement. Yeah.
And yes, and Krista is actually one of our board members. So Krista is in North Carolina, and she is one of the MSGBR board members, and she also will help sometimes with transport out of North Carolina. Not that North Carolina wants this shout out, but most people will not realize North Carolina is in the top 5 worst states of pit bull overpopulation and just the grossness that we see in rescue. So North Carolina, being the small state it is, runs neck and neck with California, Texas, and Florida. That's how bad the need is for these dogs in North Carolina.
Okay. And Clarissa is letting us know about the heartworm treatment.
Yes.
And Sandra says, we had a trainer come in when we adopted Snoopy. She told us that the dog wanted to do well. We needed to be trained to understand how to communicate.
Yep. And that's the thing. I mean, lots of times your trainer's going to come in and surprise you and let you know that there's things you need to know as well as your dog.
John Randall says impressive. Samantha says 1,500 dogs' lives saved and thousands of humans' lives better. Yep.
And I agree.
Sandra says that's amazing. Let's see. Nighthawk says pit bulls can be great dogs. I had 2 when I was a kid.
Absolutely. They are. Oh,
John Randall.
Boarding. So boarding is something we don't like. If rescue had bad words, boarding would be one. Boarding is when a dog is abruptly or quickly returned, and we have to have a solution for that dog. So again, that is when we will reach out to our boarding facilities. We use a local one, just like Home Kennels. They are family owned, and that dog will go to boarding until we can get it into a foster home or adopted. And that is a substantial fee to the rescue. I mean, we have a dog in boarding right now. We received a bill last night for $1,400. And that's for one dog. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yep.
Also, it can be used if people have to go out of town.
That's correct.
We've done that with done that with Snoopy. Hello, Alyssa Kellican.
That's one of our fosters.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
wow. We're getting a lot of that.
Yeah, and it makes me happy to see these people. Like I said, I feel blessed. We do have a solid support system, but I also feel it's because from day one, my mission with MSGBR was to make sure that it stood long after I didn't. I always think that pit bulls are going to need the type of love and advocacy that MSGBR brings.
Because of their perceived
Yep,
perception.
yep, and you're exactly right.
Um, Krista says Rusty has an amazing
Yeah.
story.
We have so many that have. Rusty was a golden shepherd that was, he's another dog. If you guys research, so Rusty's a good example of what the opposite of decompression looks like. So Rusty is a dog who actually needed other dogs to decompress. Rusty was not a dog, so Rusty came in super shut down, floorboard of the transporter's car. And then he met my amazing girl, Willow. And we realized in that moment, and that was the moment that a foster stepped up who ultimately adopted him. Rusty was very dog friendly and he needed dogs. He loved Willow. He loved seeing Willow. And the minute he saw her through the baby gate, his entire demeanor changed. Again, his story is on our Facebook page as well, and it is a really good story. He has been adopted, though. He was adopted by his foster mom.
Okay. Before we continue with these great questions, we have to have the obligatory hard-hitting question from Pudgy Hedgehog. Question: what is Nice Lady's favorite cookie?
It is a Girl Scout cookie, and it is the Thin Mint. That's my favorite cookie, and I like it in the freezer.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Krista says George is such a gentle giant.
Yep, and George is the one that still has a lot of the shotgun spray in his head. You'll see the x-rays of him. Yep.
Sandra says whoever does that to a dog needs the same done to them.
And we agree. We wish. We can only wish.
John says yes, and Clarissa says she agrees.
Yep.
Is there a thing, John Randall asks, is there a thing about pit bulls that make them more difficult, or is that a matter of perception?
So and again, this is just going to be my opinion on this. I think that the general population is super confused about pit bull as a breed. So let's start there. Pit bull as a breed is actually not a breed. It's a mix of a lot of breeds. The only way a pit bull is purebred is if it's a Staffordshire Terrier, American Pit Bull Terrier, or a Bull Terrier. Typically in a shelter, when you see a dog listed as a pit bull, that dog is going to have anywhere from 5, 10, 15 genetic backgrounds. It can be Lab, Shepherd, American Pit Bull Terrier, Staffordshire. So if people go on our page and they just do like a DNA search, they'll start to see a lot of DNA results shared. I share those. This is what I was talking about earlier. So what I wish the media would do is before they just make this post that a dog is dangerous and it attacked a kid. Okay, well, what was the breed of that dog? Because so right now you can pull a dog in our rescue. His name is Caleb. He's very high shepherd mix. However, he has pit bull traits, pit bull features. And I'm sure if you did a DNA on this dog, he's going to come back with some type of pit bull, whether that's APBT or Staffy. But we got to look at what the other breeds of this dog are. So that's what infuriates me about the media is a pit bull attacked. No, it wasn't. But it wasn't. It was a German Shepherd Lab, Doberman, Rottie, Cane Corso pit bull mix. Okay, yeah, that dog just attacked someone, but it wasn't a pit bull. However, what happens is the pit bulls are directly affected by this negative media because then the bans are placed on them as a whole. So any pit bull looking dog falls under those BSL bans. And it's unfortunate. We have a dog, Diesel, the one I told you guys about. You know, you would look at him and think, oh, he's a black and white pit bull. I can almost guarantee that dog is mostly black lab. So that's the other interesting thing is a lot of what we see on the back end of rescue with dog bites and like vicious cases. That dog is typically mixed with a lab. There's lab in that dog. Again, when you start mixing breeds and then you have backyard breeders who are not taking care of the dogs, that's the other thing. To answer John even further there, what can make a pit bull more difficult is the horrible breeding that a lot of these dogs are born under. Go down. So after Love Shack, so remember I told you Love Shack was 2021 and I would make 2 or 3 trips to Georgia after that. Well, when I did that, I also did a Southern Shelter tour, which put me into a lot of the back country of Georgia, Alabama. I went through Mississippi, South Carolina. You guys, I passed properties. I got lost in Georgia. And then I also got lost in South Carolina. In both of those places, I was in backcountry areas. This one place in Georgia, there was a literal uncountable amount of blue barrels with just logging chains of pit bulls everywhere on this property. If I had to guess it, there was over 70 dogs on this literally you couldn't count these dogs. And so I stopped first I called Brad and I'm like, oh, I'm in a really scary place because I took this trip by myself because a lot of times because of rescue, we can't travel together. But I was at a convenience store and, just some small talk. I'm like, hey, it seems like people have a lot of dogs around here. That property, so that the lady at the convenience store told me that property pumps out somewhere between 100 and 200 litters of puppies a year. Can you imagine 200 litters of backyard bred pit bull puppies? I was just so disgusted. I remember going to the vehicle and just thinking, oh, so here we are. This is why. But it's gross. I mean, there is just so many dogs down there. So many dogs. Like nothing. I don't know where you and your wife live, but Brad and I live in Shenandoah County in Virginia. We don't see stuff like that here. We don't. Like people don't live like that. Not where we can see it. And if they are, I don't know about it because most people that do see something like that, I'm going to get that message. They're going to be like, hey, Jess, so ever since Love Shack, those kind of things typically come across our desk pretty quick. But the biggest thing about pit bulls is just how unethically they're bred. They're just pumped out from really bad places.
Okay. Sandra asks, how often have you failed foster where the foster family adopts the dog?
So I don't have an actual number for that, but if I had to pull like XYZ out of 5 people, I would say probably maybe 1 out of every 5, maybe 1 out of every 10. We are fortunate that a lot of our fosters have been fosters for this rescue for a long time, but we do have foster fails. Again, I am a rescue founder who encourages that. I mean, I'm going to be honest. If you guys came to me today and was like, hey, we want to adopt a dog, I'm going to recommend that you guys foster a dog first. Make sure that you really want to adopt another dog, but make sure the dog you already love wants you to adopt another dog too.
Okay. Phantom Outsider. I like how he thinks. He says, who is shooting dogs? Can we get addresses? I'd like to send these people a surprise polar bearagram, and it won't end well for them. Yes, especially with Snort. I'm sure Snort would have a feast.
It is. It's hard. It's very hard to see some of what we see.
I didn't know
Yep,
MSGBR was on Amazon Smile. I'll change my nonprofit. And Legatus is saying there's a donation option on the page.
there is. There is.
Uh, Sandra agrees with Phantom's solution. The more I deal with people, the more I like dogs. Okay.
And you'll find, I mean, and I'm sure if you guys love pit bulls, you know this because you follow it. They're shot a lot, actually, especially in the South.
That's
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. I do not like that at all. Yeah, I think I'd like to send a polar bear after these guys. The more brutal, the better. They'll snort.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here is another pic of Snoopy. Where is it? There's Snoopy.
Oh, you know.
Now, is
so
he
you need to
Amst?
look.
They say he's they've told us that the shelter told us he was Amstaff.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure he has some in him. He's probably a mix of several dogs. So he actually looks a lot like one of our golden girls. So at some point, if you and your wife will research Blanche from literally the golden girl's name, Snoopy looks a lot like Blanche, like a whole lot like Blanche. They even have the same coloring.
Okay. Blanche.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you ever want to have fun, definitely you and your wife should get on Amazon and get a DNA kit. We like Embark. A lot of them also have genetic and health testing, which those are really nice to know. But it's just fun. So my dog Willow, that I said is Margaret's best friend, and actually here they are. I don't know if you guys can see them.
Ooh, oh.
There's my
Aww.
girls.
Aww.
So now I can't share that adorable picture without telling you, and this is just being honest. We had a very severe attack between them about 3 weeks ago, and it was the first time that anything like that had happened in 4 weeks. And what we think happened is that so Brad and I have been working a lot more. We're home, we're gone a lot. And so, you know, a lot of people think that we have 12 dogs and that's without incident. I share that with people to let them know it's not always without incident, but guess what? We still keep our dogs and we still love them because much like people, dogs get fed up sometimes too. And so what I would like to really remind anybody watching this is something that I had to learn just a few weeks ago. My soul dog attacked my heart dog and my heart was broken. I reached out to a lot of trainers. I was scared. And I don't any longer leave them alone together when we're not home. But what I want to remind people is extend some grace to your dog, understanding that they're a living thing with no voice. And I'm not discounting a person. I'm just simply saying that sometimes we place these dogs in positions where they don't have anything or any way to say to us, hey, I don't like it here. And so they act out. And sometimes the way they act out isn't pleasant. But if you've ever had kids, they can act the same way. So there's that. Like,
there's another one.
And yes, Brad said we're always looking for volunteers, and we absolutely are. So the Quad State Flavor Fest that Legatus is mentioning, that is a huge event. MSGBR is actually the lead nonprofit of that event. We love that. If you want something fun to do on a weekend, 10 out of 10 sign up for one of these Quad State events. that we will be at that we need volunteers for. So much fun. I recommend it to everyone who has some time to spare.
Okay. And there is probably the best picture of Snoopy.
Oh yeah, Snoopy is beautiful, and Snoopy looks a lot like Blanche. It's and he definitely looks like he has some Staffy in him, but I also see some American Pit Bull Terrier in him as well.
Okay. 70 pounds of pure terror.
Yeah, he looks like he's pure terror. He looks sweet as can be.
Okay. Hello, Jennifer Wahlberg.
She is one of our fosters and adopters. She actually has a really high medical dog. Jennifer has a foster to adopt that we thought was pregnant, possibly pregnant. It turns out that she too was in congestive heart failure as a very high heartworm positive dog. Sadly, Tori will lose her life over this. Tori is a hospice dog in MSGBR, and she is not even 5 years old.
Oh.
And it's because of heartworm disease.
Yeah. Let's see. And I'm going to put another picture. I like this one. I like the pictures. I don't like the stories so much, but story's sad, but aren't they?
So I'm actually glad you brought that up. So the dog, so we can't post this on my Facebook page. So I'm super glad you brought this story up. Like, this is where I think all the stars align sometimes, and things just happen in rescue because they need to. So in this picture you posted, the dog that's at the bottom, that's in the kennel with all the overgrowth, that dog's name is Tequila. That dog still needs rescue. And the reason we can't update this post is because we don't want the breeders to know a lot of how so none of these dogs look like the pictures that you guys are looking at. All of these dogs were actually in horrific condition. They were without someone on the property. The breeder died and no one knew about it for a couple of weeks. These dogs were on property without proper care for 6 weeks. Yep. But they are all safe but one. So if anyone has space for that bottom dog, that dog still needs out of that situation. But all of those dogs belong to a breeder in Florida. That's what you're looking at there.
Okay. Snoopy doesn't like his picture taken because he's embarrassed when I go around the house. Phantom! Shh! When I go around the house in my Dolphin Wars branded onesie, Snoopy gets embarrassed. Better watch her. I will make a Dolphin Wars onesie on Zazzle and send you one.
That's funny.
And we talked about how did Pitties get such a reputation, and we pretty much talked about it, Snore.
Yeah.
Samantha
That's
says,
huge.
"Can you talk about decompression for a rescue dog? The 3-3-3 rule."
So 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. MSGBR actually has their own document that we pass out for this. Decompression for a rescue dog is huge. So if you go on our page and you actually type that in, you're going to see all kinds of content there. It is literally the #1 way to set your dog up for success in incorporating another dog into your home, or even adding that dog to your home. We don't know what these dogs went through. And even coming out of foster, that foster's home is different. The noises are different. The people are different. The dog still needs decompression. It is so important to separate that dog. Do not let that dog go to barbecues, cookouts, You will not know what dog you have. And I'm sure if you and your wife think back on the dog that you adopted, Snoopy, about how much he changed those first couple of months as you all had him, brought him into your home. He got comfortable. You know, a lot of times these dogs come in and they're angels for like the first month. And then all hell breaks loose. They get crazy and they chew things up, and it's a different dog. That's decompression. And so the biggest thing we talk about in rescue is, so when you asked me earlier about, you know, what should people do if they want to add a pit bull, and I said research, decompression is also another huge thing. Even if that dog is the only dog in your house, you don't know if someone has abused that dog. You don't know what its triggers are. Give yourself and your new shelter or rescue dog time so that you really know what that dog's been through.
Okay, good advice. Phantom Outsider says to snort. It's because they are working dogs, and evil people decided because of their strength and stamina, it'd be a good idea to get them to fight insanity. I agree totally.
Yep.
Phantom
Yep.
Outsider.
And we see that a lot. There is still, in the Martinsburg, West Virginia area, there are still pit bull fighting rings. They're there. They're in the back country of your all's area. They're there. There are backyard breeders in high numbers in Martinsburg, West Virginia. You guys have a huge one right there by King's Tire. Everyone knows about it. We've taken 17 puppies out of that deplorable place, and yet no one shuts them down. They've actually been cited for sending puppies down south to pit bull fighting rings. So they send the fighting puppies down south, and that comes right out of Martinsburg.
Samantha said Snoopy picked us. Yeah, we both got sucker on our face. Let's see. Years ago, a friend had a sweet mutt puppy. She was so affectionate and loved everyone unless they were wearing a baseball cap. Then she would go nuts.
Yep. And we see that a lot in rescue. Baseball caps, sunglasses, and hoodies. If ever you're in front of a rescue dog, if you have one of those, just take it off.
Jack Russells come from Swimbridge, Devon, India, as did one of my ancestors. Okay. Jennifer Walbert says, I love this rescue and Jessica so much. I have 3 dogs because of them, and most recently, a sweet mama dog that they pulled from a kill shelter for me. Aw.
That's Tori. That's the one that's in high congestive heart failure from heartworm.
Alyssa met the amazing Storma Jean. Such a good girl and gives all the love.
Yeah, she's an awesome dog.
Yep. And Brad says she loves me now.
She does. She does love him.
All right. Let's see. Her and Colton are becoming the best of friends.
And both, Sherry and Colton both have amazing rescue stories. Both of those dogs, Colton has a really sad rescue story though. We almost euthanized Colton. And that's something that I talk about very openly because I feel like people don't talk about it enough. We have to rescue responsibly. And when I say that, what I mean is a lot of times I am the bridge between a shelter dog and society. A lot of times. If I am putting dogs irresponsibly back out into society, guess what? That means I'm also increasing BSL and the stigma on these pit bulls. If I'm not educating my fosters and adopters as they take these dogs out, much like Samantha adding Colton to Sherry, who was a single dog, sometimes a single dog doesn't want to be part of a pack. It wants to stay the only dog, much like it sounds like Snoopy. And our previous Staffordshire Terrier, Malachi, the one I tell you that my parents bought my daughter, that dog would murder. He was terrible with other dogs, but he loved his Yorkie pal. That was his best friend. I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I preach on in this rescue is decompression and proper introductions between dogs. It is just, we see so much failure to these dogs in those two places.
Okay. I heard some. Legatus asks. I heard some places require all dogs to be either tattooed, tagged, chipped, or etc. Does your organization require that of the dogs you save?
Yes. And so all of our dogs, if they are not chipped when they come into rescue, they are chipped, or a microchip with some puppies. Sometimes puppies are too small and the vet's not comfortable. But microchips are either installed in all dogs through our vet, or they are sent home free of charge to the adopter for their vet to install on the puppy. But even that doesn't happen very much anymore. We don't typically get in small puppies like that or sickly puppies. But our dogs are all microchipped.
Okay. And Sandra says Snoopy gets the heartwort every month. He thinks they're treats.
And that's the best.
Okay. Gets full lab work, including heartworm testing. And hello, Max Redstone. He says, tie a yellow ribbon round the whole pit bull.
Aww.
I missed the pit bull I had with my neighbors for 4 years. Oh. Let's see. This is an amazing, guys. You guys are absolutely amazing. The comments, the questions,
I love
everything.
it.
Yes, this made this time go flying. As a kid, my family, a Phantom Outsider says, as a kid, my family at one point had 5 dogs at the same time. Shepherd mix, Doberman mix, Husky, Siberian mix, and worst dog ever, my sister's poodle. We got it as a puppy. It was a literal demon.
You will hear me say that my 4.5-pound Yorkie was the worst dog I've ever owned, and I mean it.
It hated
She
people.
was terrible. Mm-hmm.
It hated people, other animals, everyone, and everything. It was the oddest thing ever. All the other dogs were calm and got around. He was terrible. We had him for 19 years. Sandra asks, if a dog bites, what did the kid do to provoke him?
So interestingly, we just had a bite case come in, a dog named Dobby. He's a small dog, and that dog bit a child, but the parents let the child crawl into that dog's crate. No, do not.
Oh.
Yes, exactly. We tell people this. And so now this was not our dog when this happened. This dog actually belonged to another rescue who I ended up calling out. That's a whole other long story that's actually pretty funny for another day. But anyway, this dog belonged to another rescue. We ended up taking this dog in, and he had trust issues. But here's my thing. When the owners dropped him off, I was not very nice to them, because Brad and I have raised kids. You don't just let your toddler crawl into a dog's crate and think that's going to end well. I mean, and we see it all the time, and people let their kids ride on these dogs' backs and sit on. They're not horses, they're dogs. They can't handle stuff like that. And some rescue dogs are resource guarders, and people, I don't feel like they take that seriously. Do not let that child walk up to a dog and take a treat or a bone out of that dog's mouth. I mean, I don't know a person a lot. And so I know a lot of times I make comparisons, and some of my followers come for me because they're like, you compare dogs to people way too much. Well, if someone comes up to me while I'm eating and goes to take food out of my mouth, I'm probably going to bite you too, because first of all, you're way too close. And secondly, that's just rude. It's rude. And so I just tell people, I say, if we respected other living things the way we want to be respected, maybe these things wouldn't happen.
Yep. Legata says, as of yesterday on Facebook, MSGBR still needs volunteers for the Quad State Flavor Fest on August 12th.
Yes, that is coming so fast. That's a very big event, and that's an event. We even have a raffle going on for that. that includes 10 tickets to that event. So it would be a great like office raffle for a couple of people to get in on. They're going to have a lot of food trucks there.
Okay. Sandra said he had a small lesion removed. She came home to the cone of shame being removed.
Yep.
Let's see. These people just need a little loving, a big squeezy hug. Super crunchy, yeah. Phantom Outsider said, never owned a Pittsburgh, but had one encounter with one, was hanging out with friends. Someone, not me, forgot to open the flue, so house smoked up. We opened up the front door, getting ready to watch a wrestling pay-per-view. I'm sitting on the couch. Suddenly a shadow comes running through the door, leaps at me, scaring the heck out of me, and a pit bull puppy starts licking my face. So we gave him some burgers, and eventually the owner showed up. We didn't tell him about the burgers. Ha! Sandra says he's not spoiled. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
They're all spoiled.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Have you run into this? He's also too smart. We taught him to trade and drop it. He taught himself to steal. He will bring his trophy to us and stare. Then he will dance away and gently trade. Yes, he's too smart for us. And there's the information on how to enter the Favor Fest extravaganza.
Yep.
Extravaganza.
Yeah, and if any of you guys come out to that, definitely stop by. We have a huge merch tent set up at every Interstate Festival group event. So we'll be set up under the pavilion.
Okay. He took over the first night we left to get him supplies. He chewed several books. Over the next few months, he chewed the carpet. It was our fault for leaving him.
Those first few months, you learn a lot.
Yeah. We no longer have a whole house of carpet.
Same. We have no carpet in our house for this reason. It's all hardwood.
Yeah. Yep. When I have a stream, when we hear the ticky, 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 we know Snoopy's coming by. Let's see. Had a shepherd mix, nicest dog ever. Hated cops. If he saw you put it on, he was fine. Next day, my dad came up the porch wearing a cap. Oh, caps. He charged my dad, took the cap off, and he screeched to a halt. After that, my dad kept the cap in the car. Yep. I have gone through. I got a brand new iPhone 14, and I've already gone through 2 screen guards because because I've left them where he can get them.
Oh, no.
Yep, he is. Yep. Let's see. I think that is. Sandra says rescues aren't spoiled. They deserve everything good they can get. Hardwood floor is great for Snoopy tap dancing. Yep. Well, I'm going to. We've gone through all the remarks. Let's see. Max Redstone says, "Want to see what breeders taste like?"
Yeah.
And Snort says, "Probably like pork. Most humans taste like pork." And John Rendell says, "Poodles, the poster dogs for getting a cat instead." Talking about flooring, what is better, hardwood or linoleum? Hardwood makes marks.
They're gonna put a hurting on your hardwood. I mean, they do. Hardwood is tough. That's what we have, and I mean, these dogs have all but destroyed it. We'll probably go next with like an engineered hardwood, something that is actually dog friendly. Hardwood is not dog friendly. We 10 out of 10 do not recommend. I mean, it's way better than carpet because you can clean hardwood, but that the thing with dogs is and it depends on how many dogs you have. We have 12. So 12 dogs running in and we've had over 800 dogs through this house in 4 years. So, yeah. Our hardwood is in need of replacement.
Yeah. Okay. As a kid, the dogs all trained each other. They could go in and out of the screen door at will. They always had food and water available. The only problem was the Huskies loved wicker, loved to eat it. And Samantha says we're replacing our last bit of carpet TV this weekend. We're using rigid vinyl floor for flooring. Thanks, Costco and Dad. That's another. All right. Let me try and find some more pictures, and then we're going to start. It will be time for show notes. Okay. And for those of you who have not experienced show note, you're in for a treat. Or mental help. Let's see. While I'm looking for a picture, could you talk about why it's a requirement through rescue to have animals spayed and neutered?
So we actually get this a lot. You would be surprised to know a lot of people apply to adopt our dogs who do not have altered pets themselves. Not only are we against that for the obvious breeding issues, but there are very big health issues that can go with that. There's Colton. So that is Colton right there on your screen. The biggest issue that we see with females is PIO, which is it typically requires emergency surgery or it can kill your dog. And that is a I just lost all of my train of thought. The uterus. The uterus gets infected and filled with pus. And then for male dogs, it's testicular cancer. So there are some very real health concerns. With male dogs and females, think about this. So when the women's monthly cycle comes, we get a little moody. So do dogs. Like, that's a very real thing. And so a lot of times people will message us and say, our dogs aren't getting along. You ask a couple more questions and none of the dogs are fixed. So that's Raven. She's a newer dog, but she has an approved adopter. And she is playing with Tito. That is Manny. Manny is a very long time MSGBR dog. He is actually a return from an adopter. He did not get along with the dog when he decompressed. That was already in the home. Manny actually just went to another home. So he is in a foster to adopt now.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, the chat is giving the warning. Show notes, prepare thyself, or be afraid. Be very afraid. Okay, this has been absolutely great, Jessica, and we are going to have you back. Sandra and I have talked about an idea we had, because I know you want to go into the other side of rescue. I know you've touched on it. I know you've touched on it, and we want to go further in depth into it, but I'm also going to invite some other people in on a panel, and hopefully have a panel, on that. So without further ado, let us go to show notes.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. With Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun,
Dun. All right. Yes, that's show notes. This Saturday we won't have a Just Cuz because Sandra and I will be on an away mission. So we will have the Sunday show, and we've got the special with a new fangled splash page for. Let's see, we've got the new splash page to debut for the Sunday show. Let me get it. Okay. The new Sunday on King Dolphin TV, Just Cuz. So we've got the monster truck ready to run in the backyard. We've got Pudgy Hedgehog, Snorter Poopus, Slapshot, and Cobalt on top. So that is Sunday. We've got on the 9th, we've got Janet from Another Planet coming to visit us. Hopefully, the last time she was ill, hopefully she will be back and we'll get to talk about what she's been doing. On the 16th, we're going to have Hungry Boy come on, and we're going to talk about progressive rock, one of the more ignored genres of rock and roll. On the 23rd, we've got we'll talk Anti-Derivative, and Jill and I will be talking about the Prophets in Deep Space Nine. And on August 30th, we're going to be talking to Hannah Carpenter. We'll be talking about Mothman. So that is what we're looking for. Every Saturday we will have a Just Cuz, unless I have an away mission. And September is going to be a lot of away missions, so we'll keep you posted on that. Also, if you head to Pop Culture Breakdown in 15 minutes, make sure you do a King Dolphin TV raid. Snorter Pooper says, someone tell Pudgy to stop popping the clutch. John Randall says, golf tourney Saturday. There'll be photos. Let's see. The new splash page with all the bells and whistles and the ricketa. Yes. And, of course, Legatus has to remind me. Slapshot. That was no accident. Good night, Dalek. And Snorter Poopus says, take care, every human, dolphin, doggo, Dalek, ferret, hedgehog, eagle, and tonight's special mention, Pitbull. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep. Stick around afterwards. We'll talk about what we did here. Legatus, away mission, snoo time away from the kids, animals, etc. All right, so that is show notes.
This segment is brought to you by thedolphinboys.com. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. With Mr. Raymond and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. Dun.
Hello, Agent Pepsi One. Sorry you missed the show. It was great. We talked a lot about pit bulls and their rescue, and maybe Dipsy will like it. I'd like to thank everybody who's been here on the chat. We will start out with Agent Pepsi One, with Alyssa Kellican, with Brad Cook, with Captain Finity, with Channing Silcott, with Callista, Cobalt Bald Eagle, Jennifer Wahlberg, Krista Bartlett, Max Redstone, Nighthawk, thank you for coming. The amazing, witty, and polar bear loving Phantom Outsider. Samantha Minicino, I hope I said that right. And that is our chatters. Agent Pepsi 1 says, I will definitely watch the replay. I am very much in favor of saving those dogs who are generally super sweet. Well said, Agent Pepsi 1. Well said. And then the team, my amazing team, the wrenches that help things out here, keep us going. Sandra, our amazing producer. We had Anti-Derivative Jill. We had the amazing $451. John Rendell, you had great questions tonight. We have Legatus Legionii. We had, and hello, Dawn Meyer. She says, great job, Jess. Thanks for all you do. Oh, and please.
Dawn Meyer actually has George, the dog that we talked about. That's his foster.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, please, guys, all you new people, please subscribe to King Dolphin TV. Like this show and make some comments, because this way I can continue to do great interviews like this, and because this is what we do here at King Dolphin TV. We bring interesting people on and we have a great time. So please like and subscribe to the channel. And welcome to Dawn Meyer. And great job that you have another, you've got a rescue. We had John Rendell, who had great questions. The amazing Legatus Legionii, the first in, the last out. The amazing questions and fantastic research. Thank you very much, my friend. It's always a pleasure for you to be here. And your package is somehow coming to you in a snail's pace. And we had Tim the Enchanter. Thank you for being here and doing helping out on the show. And of course, we can't, yes, I leave him last because he's the hardest working bear on the internet. Florida Boopas! QBar.com. Great show. Love PITBULLs. I'm going to have two myself. So, again, guys, glad you guys can make it. This was a fun show. I enjoyed it. Jess, you were an amazing,
thank you.
Amazing interview. An amazing, what you're doing out there with your rescue is absolutely amazing. Please, there it is. Let me put it one more time out there. Please follow MSGBR at Facebook, and there's the link. Thank you, Legatus.
Thank you.
Everybody, I hope you have a safe rest of the week. We'll look forward to seeing you on Sunday, on Just Cuz, where the mayhem starts, continues, and never ends. Good night, everybody. Be safe.
Good night.